Happy Easter morning to you. This morning I intend to finish our studies with Moses, and we will finish up with the book of Deuteronomy. The book of Deuteronomy is set during the final days in the life of Moses. It contains his farewell address to the children of Israel. In it, it becomes clear that Moses is not only concerned that these people will not only forget who they are, but they will also forget whose they are. You've got to remember that these people had been wandering in the wilderness for some 40 years now, and almost everyone who was alive when they left Egypt has died out during those 40 years. Those alive now did not witness the day that the water of the Nile was turned into blood. They did not see the plagues of frogs and flies and locusts. They did not experience the days when darkness covered the land of Egypt. They don't remember the night when the angel of death passed through the land, killing all the firstborn of the Egyptians. They have no memory of the miraculous parting of the Red Sea as the Israelites left slavery behind and Pharaoh's army was destroyed. This generation had not been eyewitnesses to those miracles. They did not remember the harsh cruelty of their taskmasters in Egypt. This generation grew up wandering in the wilderness, living in tents, going from watering hole to watering hole, simply existing. Anything they would know about the times in Egypt and their eventual exodus from Egypt, they would have learned only from their parents and their grandparents. Moses is concerned that the children of Israel understand that they are God's chosen people, the people He chose to treasure, prized above all others on this earth. Moses is concerned that they need to be aware of their covenant with God in order to remain God's treasured possession. And so Moses writes in Deuteronomy 6, verses 6 through 7, "These words that I am commanding you today must always be on your minds. Recite them to your children. Talk about them when you are sitting around your house and when you are out and about, when you are lying down, and when you are getting up." Why was Moses so concerned that this message be passed on? There is a hymn I'm sure you're familiar with called "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing." There is a verse in it that contains these words: "Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love." The hymn writer, I think, captures the human condition and our relationship with God pretty well. We like being bad from time to time. We like wandering away from time to time, if only for a little bit, from our God. And in our wandering, we fail to pass on our faith to our children. Adam Hamilton, who wrote this study on Moses, said it like this: Moses knew that Israel's faith, the faith he had devoted himself to, would be never more than one generation away from extinction. Powerful words. And this is what makes Moses' message so timeless. Every generation since the time of Moses has faced this challenge of sharing their faith with the next generation. So I ask you, are you sharing your faith with the next generation? And before you pipe up and say, well, yeah, I take them to church every Sunday, you've got to ask yourself this question: have I ever had an authentic, meaningful talk with my child and shared with him what I believe about God and how I've seen God work in my life and my experiences with God in my prayer life? Have I shared the stories of my daily attempts to walk with God? Have I shown my child how to talk to God like He is my best friend? Growing up, every time that church door opened, my parents had me there. Whether I wanted to be there or not. But it was seeing them at home, reading their Bible, doing their devotions, saying their prayers, blessing the meals. It was in seeing them trying to set an example in their lives of how a Christian should behave, treating others fairly and justly, that caused me to want to go to church. After I got my first taste of freedom in college. At that point, my parents couldn't make me go to church. But in growing up, their actions, their words, their day-to-day life placed a yearning for God in my heart, simply by the example they set. What Moses is saying is this: intentionally sharing and living your faith is crucial so that your children and grandchildren know what you believe and how it shapes your life, and so that they see a real and authentic Christian faith in you. Do you not see the critical connection here between faith and family? And Moses wasn't the only one who made that connection. You heard about it in today's lesson from Acts chapter 10, where Peter was called by the Roman centurion Cornelius to come share the good news of Christ's life, death, and glorious Easter resurrection from an empty tomb. Peter did not share the message with just Cornelius alone. Cornelius himself had assembled all his family and close friends and loved ones to hear this message. He understood the connection between faith and family. Today is Easter Sunday, and we rejoice with the gospel writer when we read about the empty tomb. We have been freed from slavery to sin. And as Paul stated in our lesson to the Colossians, set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. Moses put it this way: you shall put these words of mine in your heart and in your soul. Teach them to your children, so that your days and the days of your children may be multiplied in the land that the Lord swore to your ancestors to give them, as long as the heavens are above the earth. Let us pray. Open our hearts, O Lord, to the importance of passing on this faith we treasure to the next generation. Let thy grace, Lord, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Amen.